30 women have been arrested in Iran for taking part in protests against the compulsory wearing of the Chador. The protesters carry a headscarf on a stick, which Mohammad Jafar Montazeri, chief prosecutor, described on state media as childish, adding that the protests were funded by foreign countries. Despite prosecutions and persecutions of protesters, Iranians, both men and women, have continued with the demonstrations. Even in the holy city of Mashhad, secretly captured social media images show women in full Chador protesting against the compulsory dress code. Ironically, many women taking part in the protests do believe in the Chador, however their concern is making non-believers wear the Chador too devalues and undermines the religious significances. Heather Nauert, US State Department spokesman, in the press release said, "We condemn the reported arrests for exercising their human rights and fundamental freedoms by standing up against the compulsory Chador." She continued that the US remains steadfast in support for the right to freedom of religion, of expression, and peaceful assembly. The release concludes with her comments, "People should be free to choose the clothes they wear. Depriving individuals of this right undermines their dignity." Back in 1979, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini was happy for women to take an equal part in the revolutionary process. In fact, they were at the forefront in the fight for democracy and freedom for Iran. Yet on gaining power, one of his first moves was to disqualify female judges, and soon followed with a mandatory Chador wearing law. Shirin Ebadi, human rights advocate, former Iranian judge and Nobel Peace Prize winner for her work on democracy for Iranian women, told Al Arabiya English during an interview, "The 1979 revolution was a revolution of men against women." Perhaps Khomeini's Chador law was to counter the earlier move by pro-Western King Reza Shah Pahlavi's Kaf-e Chador decree, which aimed to ban the wearing of the Chador. However, it certainly appeared to be the case that Khomeini wanted to force through an oppression of women despite everything they had contributed to the revolution. Perhaps his motivation was based more on his personal sentiment rather than any religious ideology. But perhaps it's a case of Iranians saying enough is enough to all forms of state and religious repression. The Chador protests first began around the same time as last December's economic protests. Youth unemployment currently stands at 40% and inflation is running at 12%. Life is bleak for the average Iranian. The Chador protests have continued with a momentum of its own despite Tehran's crackdown on the economic protests, which saw around 3,700 people imprisoned, a further 20 killed or injured, and the virtual end of the demonstrations by mid-January 2018. It is clear women do not want their demands to be overshadowed or postponed any longer. Women have the same demands as men, Ms. Ebadi explained. Their demands are not separate, but on top of asking for better economy and more personal and political freedom, they are objecting to gender-based discriminations. Evidence suggests the Theocratic Republic of Iran sees women as officially subhuman. Gender-based discrimination values their testimony in the court of law as not equal to that of men. Females can only inherit half of what male members of the family are entitled to. They cannot divorce their husbands and are unable to work, study or travel abroad without their husband's express permission, and apart from a few rare instances, women are denied the right to the custody of their children. In 2015, US-based Iranian journalist Masih Alinejad launched My Stealthy Freedom, a campaign allowing women to share their Chador law-defying images. Women realize they are not alone, that they can use hashtags to connect, Masih Alinejad told Al Arabiya English, adding, "I don't see myself as the leader of the movement." Alinejad also launched the White Wednesdays movement, or Wednesdays Against Compulsion, in May 2017, where she encourages women to wear white headscarves or no headscarves on Wednesdays to defy the regime's controls. She said the Iranian government can exile, persecute or imprison only so many activists, but she said, "When indifferent citizens who mindlessly comply with traditions become conscious and responsible citizens who say no, the government will have to take a step back." Even though as a single mother in Iran I suffered discriminatory family laws, I decided to focus on one aspect of oppression. Forced veiling is the first tool of suppression on women imposed on them since the age of 7. It makes them carry around a fake identity. Non-Iranians and tourists are also forced to follow the dress code. I was one of the women who objected to the ban. Women should have the right to choose what they wear, Alinejad explained. Although in a world of misogyny and second-class lives, headscarves may not seem to be the biggest of issues. Protesting against it is a small first step in regaining full control of their lives. The protest has also created an unusual solidarity among disparate groups of Iranian women, which has broken the government's usual divide and conquer. Iran's population is divided across religious, ethnic, social class and gender lines. Could it be the case that 40 years of total authority, supported by multi-billion dollars of oil revenue, state-controlled media and vicious police and military power could fall to a headscarf and girl power?